Yeah, it's like I said. This is I told her this is Wednesday for us. It's not Monday, and we adjusted practice schedule because normally you have Mondays off, and you got to give them one day off a week, so they'll have Friday off for this week. But to this will be a shorter practice because normally they have one day off. This day is normally off for them, so we'll have a shorter practice today and a shorter practice tomorrow because it's a Thursday practice. Then we'll travel on Wednesday. So your preparation is accelerated. You got to probably simplify things a little bit in all three phases, and then you lose one day because you're traveling on the road on Wednesday. But it's also great exposure for the program. I think Sam Houston is extremely underrated. They're very good defensively. They played a really good Houston team last weekend, but they're very good defensively. I think they're finding their way on offense, and Coach Keeler has had great success. I think when we played them, was it a couple years ago in the playoffs? Yeah, it was. They killed us, right? So our guys, at least our guys that were on the team then, know what kind of program they have. Yeah, you lose. You can't really you can't have the same schedule obviously in a 5-day window, and it's really a 4-day window because you're traveling. So your practices are going to be shorter. You won't have as many individual fundamental time as you normally have. You got to still get your team part in. So our players probably aren't. We're not full padded practice at all in this whole 5 days. So we're just going to be helmets and vests and maybe shoulder pads one day. So our players probably aren't complaining about that. And the week will go fast. Guys would rather just play games anyway than practice, especially with the kind of practices we have. But it's I think we'll learn from it. We have a 5-day window, then we play in 6 days for the next one, then in 6 days for the next one. So everything's going to be condensed. The biggest part is that as we talked about, we've got to have a lot of guys ready to play because your depth is going to be an issue because it's such a physical sport, and having that many games that closely, guys are going to get banged up and nicked up and don't have time to come back. So, and then the conference has a limit which I never understood. The visiting team has a limit, but the home team doesn't. So it's like you're disadvantaged already, and then you go on the road and you got to only bring so many guys, which is, I guess, the cost measure. So
what's the limit?
74, which is okay. We can, we'll deal with that. But I teased the conference. I don't mind saying this publicly. We got a lot of great people in our conference, and they're doing a great job of building our things. But I kind of teased them about our slogan and the conference slogan. There's no limits on us, right? Except when it comes to visiting travel squad size. We have one limit on our visiting travel squad size. But no, it'll be fine. And Conference USA, I think, is in a good spot.
Will you have any contact this week? No.
What's that?
Any contact in practice? Will you have any?
No, we even in our full padded days, which are Tuesdays during a normal week, it's thud, it's not live, but we won't have any this week.
With all the newness in CUSA this year, what's making the race so far? What's making the league?
Well, we're just now getting into it. We obviously the UTEP game was a conference game, but. So I really since we haven't had a lot of interconference games, I haven't watched a lot of interconference film, other than Sam Houston right now. So I think the league is just looking at the scores, and I thought this coming into the season, the league was better than the perception was. Particularly, you got some teams that are really explosive offensively. Sam Houston's really. Look at the teams that try to play, or the scores of some of their games. Defensively they've been outstanding, but I think the league is better than probably perceived to be. But I'll tell you more in about 4 or 5 weeks too. But I said this earlier. I don't mind saying we get to be a true Division 1A program and team. We've got to get bigger. we've got to get faster and all that. That's not to say we can't compete right now, but we're a couple years away from where we're going to be. And I'm excited about where we're going to be. I'm excited where we're at, but I'm more excited about where we're going to be when we build this thing. And when you come out of the tunnel, you look like, oh, look at the size of those linemen, and look how fast those guys are. We're going to get there at some point.
You mentioned Quinton Lane kind of walking on and earning a scholarship. Do you remember when y'all decided to give him a scholarship and how it happened and maybe what you saw in him?
Yeah, it was during camp, and he was getting better and better, learning our system. He's a great young man, and Coach Garrett, his receiver coach, said, Coach, he's going to play for us. And we had one available. He was in the 2 deep, and so I'm sometime right behind, kind of right in the middle of camp in August. I said, hey, you've earned a scholarship, and congratulations. And obviously that's kind of a neat moment. I don't do that, publicly. Even though I was a walk-on and earned a scholarship, which was a great thrill for me, whatever, I've had a special affinity for guys that kind of earn scholarships as walk-ons. But I don't do it in front of the whole team because I've got other walk-ons that probably are deserving as well, and I'm like, they might be thinking, geez, what about mine? You know what I mean? So I kind of do it privately and come in and call their parents and say, hey, you don't have to pay any bills anymore. That's kind of a neat call. I love that. I mean, there's a lot of parts of my job that are pain in the butt and don't really like, and but that's part of my job that kind of makes your whole week when you can bring a young man in and get his mom or dad or both on the phone and say, listen, you don't have to pay for your schooling, and schooling is paid for. We're picking up the tab. And it's been that's a thrill. That's a thrill for me, and I know it's a thrill for the players. But because I lived that, I kind of see how important that is. So it's kind of neat.
Does that ever take you back to when you got a scholarship?
Oh yeah, every time. When I did it, I was hell. I think this was when I was at West Virginia, and that's when you had 105 guys on scholarship. I still didn't get one out of high school. I was still pissed about it. I thought I deserved one because I had played. We had a real good high school team. We were undefeated, won a state championship, and 3 or 4 guys we beat got scholarships. So I'm like, heck, where's mine at? So I had I really literally had enough money and financial aid. I was a good student, believe it or not. I had enough. I think my dad, he might have been laid off at the coal mines, and so I was getting Pell Grant and student loan, and a little bit academic, just enough to make it for a year. So I had 1 year to kind of make my mark. And I tell everybody, so they moved me from receiver to DB the first day I was there. I'm like, geez, I didn't even make it. What kind of impression was that? And I'm like, but I was too scared to say anything differently. And then my DB coach, who's passed since then, but he was so mean. He was an ex-military guy. And he was so mean, like everybody in front of me was quitting. So I started off 4th on a depth chart, and I was like 2nd by default. I'm like, if I keep hanging in there, hell, I'm going to be starting pretty soon. And so after my first year, and after my first spring up there, I got a scholarship, and it was all good. So, but I can remember when I was told that, and I was told, actually Coach Nealon, who's our head coach, told me while we were stretching and warming up, like in the spring or the summer, and he said put on a scholarship. And so I didn't, not like you got a cell phone, so I waited after practice, and then I think I called my mom and them. I said, hey, I don't need to take out any more loans. I got on scholarship. But then I was told, hey, you got to keep earning it every year, which didn't bother me because, I knew everybody else would quit, right? So, yeah, that was quite a thrill.
He's 6'4", 210. How many 6'4", 210 receivers are trying to find their way to accelerate?
Yeah, and he's a very productive player where he was at, and so when we got him to come here, I thought this guy's going to have a chance to play because he's an older guy and he's got great size, and it's still a learning curve, to learn what we do and how we do it. And I've seen him get better, and you guys have watched him. You see him emerge a little bit more each week and get more confident each week, and that's what you want all your players to do, and Quinton has done a great job with that.
With this defense, I don't know, just especially on third down, can this be an equalizer for y'all against some of these teams?
Yeah, I've said from the beginning, you know, I was a little concerned with our size, but I thought our athleticism was really good. You know, we're fairly athletic, pretty athletic at every position on the defense. You look up front, we're athletic. At the linebacker, we got some length and we're athletic. And then our corners played really well Saturday. You know, our DBs are athletic, so we thought our guys would be athletic. Now, learning Coach Alley's system, there's a lot to it, and so it usually takes some time to learn that. And those guys have done a great job with it. But we, you know, when you can play like they did Saturday, and we know, you know, we thought we had a pretty good plan, whatever. But you get a couple scores up there. If you don't turn the ball over, you're going to win it. You're going to be right in the middle of it. And so that's been the case for us. We can't turn the ball over and put our defense in a bad spot and all that. But you know, our defensive guys are playing they're playing hard. They're Zach and them are doing a great job with them. But that's going to be a key again. And I think in this game, I mean, we're going to, you know, they're so good on defense. Sam Houston and athletic that there are going to be spots that's going to be tough to move. We hope not, but you know, I know there's going to be, and our defense has got to play well.
Jackson Luttrell mentioned, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, he's playing maybe 15 snaps less than he was last year, and he felt like that was a good thing for him. Do you think y'all are able to be a little more aggressive with some stuff because you have so much depth?
Well, that was part of, if you guys remember at the beginning of the year, I wanted to play more people than anybody in the country. And we're not there. We're not playing as many people offensively as we need to, and we will be able to, I think, going forward. But defensively, since the first game, we've played 20-some guys every week. And like I said, with Jackson, he's a tough guy that's been banged up, but you know, he can't play 40, 50 snaps. And so we're rolling some guys in there, and that's probably going to be one of the critical things for us. You know, we don't want to put a guy in just to put a guy in. They got to be able to make plays and do their job. So in the next 4 or 5 weeks, we've got to be able to do that. That and the fact that our tempo is so different offensively that, you know, sometimes like this week we got first downs, and so our defense wasn't out there as much. But you know, sometimes we get 3 and outs pretty quick. You got to run right back out there, but we're still going to do our tempo, and that part's not going to change.
He's came out a couple times Saturday with what looked like a shoulder.
Yeah, he's had a bad shoulder for the whole last year and a half. You know what I mean? And I think he's got some kind of deal with the commercial people. Since every time he gets hurt, we go to a commercial break. So maybe Jackson's got some kind of NIL deal with some kind of commercial people. I don't know what it is. No, he's a tough guy. I love him. He got a great family, and he's a good football player. And he's not 100%. He probably would tell you he's not been 100%, but he's going to put a brace on, and he's going to give his all every time.
When y'all run an RPO, do you think y'all teach your quarterback to run when maybe other teams might teach the quarterback that's a passing situation?
That's a fair question. I just think we tell our quarterbacks that they have to be a willing runner or they won't play quarterback. Now, I don't want them, it's just the whole thing about touchdown, first down, get down. We don't want them to take unnecessary hits and all that. But if the run is there, they got to be willing to run. And that's what we call playing with 11. If they don't, then they won't play quarterback. But you got to be smart with it too. I don't particularly prescribe to the slide theory. I'd rather you dive than slide. I think when you slide, you're more susceptible to maybe getting hit. I'd rather you dive or jump out of the way, so to speak. But our quarterbacks are all willing runners, and they need to be to play here.
When you went back and watched the film, what did you think about how Logan did Saturday?
Yeah, I thought he played pretty well, but there's also a couple things. When you're a quarterback for our system, a lot of quarterbacks, their decisions in the run game is just handing off, and their decisions they're making is based on a pass game. For us, our quarterback's decision making is on almost all runs and all passes. So instead of making 40 decisions a game or 35 decisions a game, our guys are making 70 decisions a game. A quarterback. So mentally, there's a lot more on him from a decision standpoint than a typical offense. But that's part of what we do, and that's I tell everybody. Other people use this analogy. Our quarterback's got to be like a point guard leading a fast break every snap. Sometimes he shoots a three, sometimes he distributes it, but he's leading the fast break, whether it's 2-on-1, 3-on-2, whatever it is, all the time at a different pace. And that, that puts a lot on him, but our guy, I think quarterbacks want that. And every week as they get better and better, those decisions get better too.
I mean, I know they've had a few games. Well, with Sam Houston last season, they redshirted a lot of players after 4 games just to keep eligibility. Is there a challenge in that from the scouting standpoint, just watching?
Well, a little bit, yeah. But I thought that was a pretty neat idea. I hadn't thought about that, but I heard about that, and it made sense that they played a lesser schedule. Probably didn't play maybe 9 or 10 games. I think Kennesaw's doing that this year. Playing like 9 games or something, and maybe redshirting a lot of guys for the transition. That makes sense. So, so some of that when you're watching some of last year's film or what have you, those aren't the guys that are in the 2 deep because they were redshirt in the end of the year. Which and a couple of them they're really good players, guys that played. And you're like, what happened to them? Well, they must have been one of those guys that was getting redshirted last year. So. Yeah, I thought that was a pretty interesting scenario.
What jumps out? What jumps out about Sam Houston when you watch the film?
Defensively, their athleticism. Their linebackers are really active. I'm really impressed with them. They got length and speed at corner. I think their front is really good, really active. They move a lot. They're aggressive. So you see movement just about on every snap up front, and they move them because they can, because they're athletic, and they had a different quarterback last week, and Grant Gunnell, who I know a little bit because he was at Arizona and played with my son at Arizona, and so I knew about it. I know he's transferred a couple of times and all that, but they gave him the ball last week. Now he's a little bit different style than the other quarterback they had. The other one they had run a little bit more. And Grant was throwing a little bit more, so we don't know exactly what they'll do this week, but we're prepared for both.
Is that an extra challenge having to prepare for?
Yeah, because it's not like our quarterbacks. No matter who the quarterback is going to run the same plays. We don't have one set of plays for Zion or one for Logan or whatever. They all practice the same plays. For theirs, they probably do different things with different quarterbacks.
Darrell Prater saw a little bit more involvement a couple days ago. Can you just talk about him and what you've seen in him?
Who's that?
Darrell Prater. Is it Darrell?
Yeah. He's really played well. He's he's getting better and better. He's just a young guy, but he's very intelligent, football smart. He's involved in some of our special teams. He's gotten better every day since he got here, and you'll see him more and more as well. Particularly, we got a few guys banged up front on D-line, so it's giving him an opportunity.
I feel like there's a lot of high schools that rely on their quarterbacks to punt, do those pooch punts like we saw Logan do on Saturday. Why do you think we don't see that more at the college level?
Good question. I think there's maybe because they can't do it. Some of them would shank it side of their foot, but Zion's not bad on it, but Logan is he's really good at it. And I just think they probably don't have that guy that they could truly trust to it. We have worked on it all year, and it was the perfect situation to do it. If you've got guys that like Logan and Zion that are confident enough to punch it down there, because a lot of times they're not. If you do it and you do it right, they won't have time to run a returner in there, so to speak, and you can get a good little kick. You see it now a lot of times. These punters are averaging 45 yards, but 15, 20 of it's a roll anyway, right? And then, by the way, with that punter last week, I thought Ray Guy came back and suited up in a white shirt. I mean, holy hell, that one was 77 yards in the air. We kept telling Sterling to back up, and it still wasn't enough. Like, what the hell's going on around here? That was unbelievable. Put on a show.
Anything else for Coach? Yeah.
Did Traylon get his donuts?
He did. Miss Raquel right there got him 4 dozen donuts. So they're all a little fat right now, probably. Got a little extra sugar in them, but yeah, they like their donuts. No, hell, that was Lyman. Lyman sharing donuts? It's like asking to get a steak from them or something.
It was a good win, getting back in the win column. Coming back home, protecting the home field. It felt good, and the defense put on the show. A shutout. First FBS shutout for the program, so it was a big win for us.
Could you just talk about that moment when it sounds like you were maybe in the office with Rich Rod and he told you he was going to put you on scholarship?
Oh, yeah. So I got a text from our position coach, Coach Garrett. Well, earlier in the day, he was like come up to the office, Coach Rich Rod wants to talk to you. First thing that comes to my mind, what did I do? What trouble am I in? But no, I went up to the office. He just having a conversation. And then he was asking me about who's helping pay for school and everything. And told him my mom and dad, and he told me to get him on the phone. So then called him up and basically told him that worked hard since I've been here, and he wanted to grant me my scholarship. So that was a big moment for me and my family. Just showing that all my hard work is being seen and noticed by the coaching staff here. So it felt good.
Is it safe to say that that's kind of one of those moments that's going to be burned in your memory for a while?
For sure. I'm never going to forget the moment. Even from that text from Coach Garrett, my heart was beating from there. Just wondering if I was in trouble, what I'd do. So, yeah.
I mean, you had a really good career, it seems like, at Stetson. I mean, you probably could have had your pick at some other places, but what made you come on and walk on at Jack State? What did you see in the program?
It was just the opportunity coming and playing big time football. It's been a dream of mine to play FBS football since a kid. So I knew that if I came in and put the work in and got joined in with the team, I could get the opportunity to play, and scholarship just put the icing on the cake for it.
Safe to say that touchdown, you've made other plays this season, but just maybe that's kind of, those are the moments you wanted to have when you decided to come here?
Right. Just making the big play, making the play when the opportunity comes to me. So it felt good to get in the end zone again.
What was your recruitment like out of high school?
Out of high school, it was kind of slow, I would say. Had pretty much service academies and some Ivy League schools, but Stetson was really my only FCS D1 offer. And they came to the school, and I had two former teammates that went to school there, so I was kind of familiar with the school, and it was kind of close to home, about 2 hours away, so that's what made me decide to head there.
We talked a little bit about this after the game, just maybe kind of having to be patient, knowing that you never know kind of when your play is going to come. With the way this offense runs, I don't know, have you had to, safe to say, you get more experience blocking than maybe you have in the past, or?
I mean, I pride myself on blocking. I'm a big body receiver, so it's got to be a part of my game. So I wouldn't say that it's something that I wasn't used to doing. It's something that was a part of my game. So coming here, it was kind of natural to right now block a little more, but when the opportunity comes with the ball, I'm just trying to make the play or make the block that's needed to help the team win.
Do you ever, because you never kind of know when Logan or Zion or whoever's a quarterback might run, do you have to kind of look back more to figure out, wait, is he still looking my way, or is he running? Do I need to?
Not really. If I look back, I know the defense is going to look back, so you can really listen to the crowd, because they start to roar whenever the quarterback runs, and they seem to get big runs a lot, so you hear that a lot.
Quinton, you talked about that process and your scholarship, but last week you were selected team captain. Was that a special moment?
Oh, it definitely was. Being on scholarship, that's being a part of the team, but the captain, that means that the team sees you as a leader, and to be able to get that honor in the short time that I've been here, it was a great feeling.
I mean, in practice and everything, it just, after going to all these practices, it just seems like the receivers are just like a fun group to be around.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, can you just tell me a little about kind of how you fit in with their personalities?
Man, they're all great guys. You spend most of the time laughing. Sometimes the coach has to tell us to calm down on the laughing and joking, but no, they're all great guys. They root for each other. There's no selfishness in the group. Everybody's looking to have everyone succeed, so it's a great group. Couldn't ask for a better one.
Have you got the chance to watch film on Sam Houston on the defense?
A little bit.
What jumps out about their defense that you've seen?
They're fast and physical. They fly around. They kind of remind me of our defense, just the way they get after it. So it'll be a fun and exciting game to go against them.
What's different, if anything, about being an offensive player on the road?
Just the crowd. At home, they're kind of offensive at work, try to quiet down, but on the road, the crowd just as loud as possible. Just focusing in, watching the ball snap, not listening to the cadence, small things like that. But once the game gets rolling, it's kind of the same. Anything
you feel like y'all learned from that trip to Coastal that you think will help this week?
We got to finish in the red zone when we have the opportunity. Getting down there, We could have had a big lead on them. We ended up with 3 instead of 6 a couple times in the red zone. So just finishing out the drives with touchdowns rather than field goals.
Anything specific y'all can do differently to do that in the red zone?
Just keep working. That was a little earlier in the season, so we got more preparation with the bye week and this week coming up, even though it's a shorter week. But just working on everything. Everybody finishing out their jobs and getting the job done.
What do you think about the practice schedule this week? I mean, as Rich Rod said, it's really fast-paced. Just what, from a player's standpoint, what's it like?
It's different for sure. This is usually our off day, so getting into the swing of things, kind of getting those nicks and bruises out from the game on Saturday and getting back out there. But once you're out there, you don't really feel it. But after practice, probably will. But get in the recovery and get going again.
Well, we all very happy to get that shutout. You know, we came close to it against ETSU, but it's not the same when they put points on the board. So, you know, very happy about that. But we're not satisfied. We're still working and looking at things we could have did better.
Questions?
I think, off the top of my head, I think this is the most sacks y'all have had in 3 years. I think it's the most tackles for loss that Jack State defense has had in, I think, 4 or 5 years. I mean, you know, did y'all note, I mean, is that something y'all talked about, just how much y'all were, negative plays y'all were able to force after in that game?
You mean after or before?
Yeah, like after the game, did the defense, did y'all kind of acknowledge that and talk about it?
Yeah. Every game we acknowledge the things we did well and things we didn't do well. And our goal is always to get sacks and turnovers. And our coach, he felt like we did that and we executed on that game.
Anything y'all did better or different on Saturday that y'all can replicate going forward to you know, I'm sure you're not going to have 6 sacks every game, but I mean, anything y'all can do to have more production like that?
Yeah, I feel like we finished the sacks when we got there. I feel like the way we bluff in disguise, that's a big help, because when you're not blitzing and you're bluffing, you always keep the O-line on their toes. So we did that, and then we finished when the plays came.
Bluffing that stuff, is that something that maybe earlier in the season you're working on more fundamental stuff and maybe you can add that stuff in as the season goes on? Or
I feel like since the summer, we've been working a lot on bluffing, because we talked about last season and what we need to do more, and certain days of practice we'll emphasize it if we don't do it as much in the game, because we have to always continue to remember, because if you're beating someone and you can start to think that you don't have other things you should work on, but that's the main thing we always focus on. Our coach, he always says it, and he's just screaming and yelling it during practice.
There were a lot of players that had, I think there were 6 players that have at least 4 total tackles. Just what's it like seeing a lot of the players get more involved as the season progresses?
It's kind of the norm to me, because like seeing during fall camp, like we get to the ball and our main goal is to make plays. So when the plays come, everybody's trying to eat and get those plays. So you got to get it when it comes.
does it help, you know, when y'all go against guys like Zion and Logan in practice, guys that we've seen be pretty athletic, do you think that helps? That's good preparation for trying to, you know, just bring down quarterbacks in a game?
Oh yeah, definitely, because we got a lot of QBs that can run, like even past Zion and Logan, and you know, you get juked during practice, that'll have you ready for, because I don't think we played anyone as quick and twitchy as our QBs, but yeah, that definitely gets us prepared for the games.
What's it meant for you and the rest of the linebackers to have Quay come on this year?
Quay Drake?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's a great addition to the team. You know, he's long and lengthy, and he makes a lot of plays on every down. But third down, like, you got a guy that can pass rush and get back into the hooks and things like that to make those plays. You know, because we need the money when the money comes.
Safe to say y'all probably talked about his interception after the game?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, we played a game together, so we talk about it in the parties and stuff.
I mean, just what was that like? It looked, you know, he kind of looked a little bit like a receiver. He's having to catch it right as he's going out of bounds. You know, What did you think of that play he made?
During the game, I had just got off the field, so I didn't even see it. I thought the play was over because it was like, I think he was scrambling, and then the ball just went, and I just heard the crowd, so I knew something crazy happened. Then I saw it. Yeah, it was a pretty good play, good ball skills. But he makes great plays on the ball during practice, like every week.
I know it's a short week, but what have you been able to see from Sam Houston, their offense?
Sam Houston, I feel like they're a tough team. We played them before, and they're tough. They're not gonna say too much during the game, but they got that type of the toughness about them. I see that they play multiple QBs, and they have a few guys that you gotta watch out for, and they're a little different with their offense, with the things they like to do, and we'll have to prepare for that.
Richard said, unlike maybe y'all, who y'all kind of do the same thing, no matter who's the quarterback, they maybe have different preferences or a little bit of different identity with the different quarterbacks. So is that like the first thing y'all have to do is look at the quarterback and then kind of go from there?
Yeah, we know that the offense changes depending on who's in, so we have a lot of calls, and that's what we do during fall camp. We rep a lot of our things, so if we need to go back to them, we're able to. So we have the calls for both of them, depending on who plays,
Does Zach's defense, does it let y'all be a little more aggressive than maybe some other teams with what y'all are able to do and trying to affect the quarterback?
Yeah, don't you think? I mean, we blitz a lot and we disguise a lot, and it's chaotic. And when you can do things like that, you can have the QB do things and just get outside of himself, and we just got to make those plays when they come. We just force them to do what we want them to do.
Is it safe to say that's the call you want, the plays you enjoy the most are when coach says, hey, go get the quarterback?
Yeah, because I don't blitz a lot. It's like this game I got a couple blitzes, and yeah, definitely. Definitely.
What do you think about the practice schedule from a player's standpoint, just with so many games in such a short amount of time?
I feel like we're just gonna have to be a lot more focused, like during those times, because it's a short week. We're gonna have to mentally prepare, but we'll be able to handle it. But yeah, it can get chaotic because with school, like you have other things outside of football, but we're prepared for that. Our coaches they put us in tough situations, and I feel like we got each other to help us get through the stretch that we're going to get to.
Your coach says that because of a short week, you probably won't have a full contact practice.
Mm-hmm.
Is that good news?
Yeah, that's good because during the bye week we had time to get a lot of things going. So yeah, we definitely need to our bodies, because I'm sore right now. But we're just gonna have to mentally lock in, and it's gonna take some extra time at home, watching film, coming in to prepare. But we'll be fine.
Is there a time in the week, like, assume it's a normal week and you play only Saturdays. Is there a time in the week when normally you start to feel better after that last game, like when some of that soreness starts to kind of go away?
Yeah, Wednesday.
Wednesday's normally
I
when you
say
start to feel?
Wednesday. Wednesday, you starting to feel a little good. Thursday, it's like, okay, we ready to go. But Tuesday, you gonna feel it.